Hi, my name's Lewis and I'm a senior sous chef at Southampton University. Today is episode 3 of the cooking school, so I hope you enjoy and follow along. So I don't know if you guys all want to quickly grab a green board first. And then just a couple of little knife skills. If you're walking around with a knife, just make sure it's always facing down. You don't know if someone's going to turn around or something, at least your knife's not pointing at them. And when you're chopping stuff, just make sure your hand's always like a claw shape. You're just going to make sure your thumb is behind your fingers. So when you're cutting vegetables or whatever you're cutting, you're not going to catch the end of your thumb or anything like that, and it's just a little bit safer. So to start off with, I'm just going to start off with the carrot. So I'm just going to peel the carrot all the way around and get rid of obviously the skin because we don't want that. And then after that, we're going to keep, once the peel's done from the outside, we'll move that to the side. It's quite a nice, easy way to like prep a salad at home because you're obviously not using a knife. You can just peel it all. Obviously, you probably won't be able to peel the whole carrot because when you get down to a certain bit, you won't be able to hold on to it. So just get down to where you feel comfortable. So then after that, we're going to move on to the cucumber, and we're basically going to do exactly the same thing. Obviously, you won't be able to peel the middle with all the seeds because it'd be quite hard to peel. Just go around the outside, and we'll peel it all the way around straight into our salad bowl, and this will be the next element of our salad. It might be a little bit trickier to peel than the carrot, so just be a little bit careful. You just want to get it down to about that bit where you can start to see the seeds because it'd be very hard to peel after that. So then after that, we've got some mint and some coriander. We're going to cut that up nice and fine to go through the salad. The best way to do it with the mint is if you separate all the leaves and just sort of stack them up nicely. It becomes a lot easier to cut. You've only got to roughly stack them. And if you just slightly roll them, they're just all then together. And just get the knife that you feel comfortable with. And we're just going to literally just run the knife through it nice and carefully. And then add that to our salad. And obviously the same with the coriander. It's a little bit harder with the coriander because obviously you can't just separate it from leaves. So just bunch it up all nicely and then just run the knife through it. Obviously be very careful because obviously your fingers are going to be very close. But that's why I said make sure you've got a nice claw and you're just holding it with your first couple of fingers. You've got 2 limes in your section. One of them is a little quarter as a wedge. If we just put that in a spare cup from your coriander or something and leave that aside, that's what we're going to use at the end. The other lime is obviously for the salad, but we're not going to add the lime juice yet because obviously acid is going to wilt all of this. So we want to add it quite close to when we're going to serve it because obviously it's going to sort of macerate it and wilt it. So if we just squeeze this into a cup so it's ready for when we finish. And once you've got all the juice out there, put that back onto your tray next to your other little lime and we'll use that later on. So the next 3 items you're going to need is your onion, your 2 cloves of garlic, and your little bit of ginger. So to start off with, we're going to do the onion. So the best way you can do it is just hold the onion both sides and just run the knife straight over the middle. So then you end up with 2 little halves. And then once you've cut it in half, we just cut both the bottom ends off, not the end with the little fairy bit, just the other bit off so we can peel it nice and easy. And then just remove the skin. There are a lot of different ways you can cut an onion. For this application, obviously we just need a rough little dice. We're not worried about getting it too thin. So we just run our knife and still keeping the root intact. Just run it through. It's only got to be a nice sort of rough dice. And once you've cut it that way, we're just going to cut the other way so you get a nice sort of rough dice. If you get to the end and it's a little bit slippy, just turn it the other way, just so you've got a nice flat surface to cut on. And then next we're going to use a little bit of ginger. Obviously we're going to be blending this. This is for the curry sauce at the end. So we're not worried about it being too finely diced, but we also want to make sure it's sort of nicely cut. So just get it onto the flat surface so it's not going to roll around. If you put it on the side, it's easy to slip. And then literally we're just going to run our knife through it so it's nice, fine slices, like so. And add that to the onions as well. And then after that, we're just going to repeat exactly the same process with the garlic. Obviously, some of them do have the little woody bit on the top. If so, just cut that little bit off, just because it's not very nice to eat. And then we're just going to slice this nice and finely again. Nice little slices, and we'll put that in with our onion as well. So next up, we're going to cut the spring onion and chilli. If we start off with the spring onion first, this is going to be to finish our rice with at the end. So all we want to do is just cut the little root off at the end with a nice little angle. So we get a sort of, when it goes into the rice, you get a nice little slice. And And then we're literally just going to run our knife through it. So it's got a nice little angle. Try and keep it as fine as possible, as fine as you feel comfortable. And then when that's done, we're just going to go straight back into the pot for later on. And just do exactly the same with both. If it is hard to cut because it's rolling round, you can just cut it directly in half if you don't feel comfortable. Because obviously then it won't slide around on the board as much. And then just still cut it at an angle. Next up's the chili. We're just going to cut the top off the chili. Obviously, this is going to be down to your discretion. So obviously, the flesh itself isn't that spicy, but the seeds are. So if you don't really like spicy food, or either way, we're going to cut it in half. At this point, if you don't want it to be that spicy, we'll just scrape the seeds out. We can get rid of the seeds, and we'll just cut this up nicely. For this purpose, I'm going to leave the seeds in there. But if you wanted to, the best way of doing it, you could either use the back of your knife and just scrape them out, like so. Or you could use a spoon, or vice versa. So you just have a nice clean chili, and then we can get rid of the seeds. If you want it spicy, just cut it up with the seeds. It'll be completely fine. I'm just going to slice that exactly same as a spring onion. Nice and fine at a slight angle. When you're all finished, I'd probably recommend washing your hands. It's very easy when you've cut chili to wipe your eyes or itch your face, and then before you know it, it's burning. It's obviously the chili, so I'd recommend you all go wash your hands afterwards. So next up, if we all get rid of our green boards, because we've now finished prepping all the vegetables we need. So if you just want to put that under your bench for now and go get a red board at the back. And all we're going to do is basically butterfly this. And then just literally we're going to run the knife down the side of it. Once you've started it, it's quite easy just to open it up and just keep using your knife. So you get a nice little butterfly. Just makes the chicken cook a lot more easier. And just spread it all out nicely. So it's a nice flat chicken breast, like so. So after we've done that on our little tray, we've got some ground almonds and a little bit of oil. What we're going to do is, you've got your white trays underneath, they've got your recipe log on it. So if we just sprinkle the almonds on one side and then drizzle the oil on the other side. Obviously you could substitute the almonds for breadcrumbs or vice versa, but obviously we're doing a healthy katsu. So we're just doing, just like so, you've got oil and then the ground almonds. You can use all the nuts because we're going to try and coat the breast. So then all we want to do once we've done that, is just to spread it in the oil just to give us something to stick the ground almonds to. And then basically just to press it into the ground almonds, just so you, obviously it's just basically breadcrumbing the chicken breast, but without breadcrumbs. Just give it a nice even coating. You might not be able to get all the nuts on there, but see how much you can get on there, like so. And then we'll just put that into our tub that we've all got on our sections. So obviously we're going to do the rice together just to speed the process up, and obviously you guys can see how we cook the rice. It's literally just to pour the water over it and drain it off, just so it gets rid of the starch till the water runs clear. So as you can see, like, look how cloudy the water's going. When you try and cook that, it's just going to make it very starchy and gloopy, so it's just best just to rinse it off. Makes the cooking process a lot easier. It's usually 3-4 times and it usually does run clear. Like so. And then all we're going to do is basically fill it up to the second knuckle. So if you touch the rice, you want to fill it up to basically your second knuckle on the rice. And that's usually the perfect amount of water. Like so. So I'm touching it. And it's just on my knuckle, and that's perfect. If we're going to come around here, and I'll cook, and you guys can all watch, and we'll then go from there. See, I've made a sauce already, but a little bit of oil. So we've got a bit of heat in that now. I'm just going to turn it up and get the onions and garlic in. I'm just going to sweat all of these down. See, it's nice and caramelized. Obviously, it is going to take a couple of minutes, but we've also got our other pans on for our rice and our chicken. So yeah, what we're going to do is just sweat this down, just so like onions go translucent and stuff like that. And we're going to add all of our spices to this as well. So while this is getting hot, we're going to cook the chicken breast at the same time. So a nice little drizzle of oil, not too much because also we've already put oil into this, obviously to get the nuts on it. Just let the oil just naturally. Obviously with the non-stick pan, you're not too worried about getting too much on. Then we're literally just going to add our chicken breasts, nicely spread out. It's probably around 3-4 minutes either side to cook it. But But obviously, if you're doubting yourself at home, best thing you can do is just buy a probe, 75 degrees. Obviously, and once your onions and garlic are all sweated off, we're literally just going to add our spices and turn the heat down a little bit. Just as soon as you add the spices, it's quite easy to catch the bottom of the pan because obviously the spices are dry. Once they're all cooked off, you could use corn flour or something, but for this, we're just going to use normal flour. So you just want to cook it out a little bit so it isn't a dry powderiness. Obviously, just be careful when you're stirring it because it could go everywhere. And then literally, once that's all cooked off, we're just going to slowly add our water. You just want to add it bit by bit so you don't get as much lumps. Obviously, we're not too worried because we're going to blend it all at the end, obviously, to that. Once you've added the flour, it's very important you just stir, basically, constantly, because obviously, as soon as the flour hits the bottom of that pan, it will just thicken up. And then when you're done, I would literally just remove all of these, use a hand blender or a jug blender, and blend it till smooth. So we're going to let that simmer on the stove for now while we're doing all the rest of this. I'm just going to keep flipping this back and forth till we've got a nice sort of cooked chicken breast and let this simmer away. And while it's simmering away, obviously, this hasn't got much salt in it. So we've seasoned it with soy sauce and maple. Literally, we're just going to pour all this in once you've let it simmer for like 15, 20 minutes. And then we'll just hand blender it. And this would be the sauce that you end up with as soon as it's smooth. It is always good practice to have a probe and just literally at a slight angle, just so you're into the middle. There you go. We're 75 degrees. That's cooked perfectly. Going to transfer this over to a clean tray. We'll plate one up so you guys can see it. What we're going to do is then your salad. So we're just going to add the rest of that little lime juice and just literally give it a nice little toss, and this will wilt all the salad down. We can also add our chilies to that. We've got a nice rice here. And then all we're going to do is do a nice little spoonful of the curry sauce. Then going to put our chicken breast on top. We'll do a nice little bit of salad on the side. We'll finish with a couple of spring onions. Give you a nice little bit of colour. And then literally that last little lime wedge. And then just a nice little drizzle of lime. Hope you enjoyed following along. Join us again next time.